Hey everyone, welcome back to the Track Limits podcast. We are here, Henny and I, in London.
Yes.
Rainy London, but what a weekend. What a weekend.
It was fantastic. I mean, where do we even start? All the way from soccer or football. To Lewis Hamilton reclaiming his top spot again.
Reclaiming his top spot. I mean,
magical.
Already yesterday was incredible. British 1-2-3 after qualifying. Sir Lewis Hamilton on the top step. Who would have thought? Who would have thought?
I mean, someone on our team thought of it, clearly.
I got to say, Fevin joined me in that prediction. I mean, you were also saying before the weekend that Mercedes was going to be strong.
Yeah.
But
we all knew since Canada and their upgrades, in Monaco, that especially on a cooler track like what we saw the last 3 days, all the way from practice, they just looked really strong. George Russell, I know he had a sad ending today, but throughout the whole weekend, he just looked super strong. He was on it. And it sucks for him to go down the way he did, but I mean, it opened the door for Lewis to get that win. And this is 2 wins back-to-back for Mercedes. Now, I know the last week one was due to 2 other drivers crashing, but this one, I think he won it off pace, off everything. There's no excuses. Lewis was on the ball. The team got the strategies correct. Correct. Pit stops were
okay.
Nothing special. It's not Red Bull 2 seconds, but it made them get the win. And as a Red Bull fan, I'm so happy for Lewis. And it was really even fantastic to see Red Bull sharing and congratulating Lewis and saying, congrats on this huge win. We know how much this means to you to win it at home. And even for Lewis to come out and be this emotional, we haven't even seen him this emotional when he won championships, where he was bawling his eyes out. And it made him become almost superhuman and human at the same time, for him to let all those emotions, and even for someone that is as successful as him, to have imposter syndrome and saying, am I ever going to win?
Am I going to win again?
And he humanized himself in that moment. And it was fantastic to see, no matter if you're a Red Bull fan or even a Lewis hater, these are the moments you will have to look at and be like, this is a person that still loves the sport. He loves what he's doing, and he's giving us a show.
I mean, the final laps were pretty scary.
Yes, it was.
You know, Max was gaining. He obviously passed Norris with 3-4 laps left to go in the race.
Yeah, I think two laps.
2 laps.
48 or 49.
Yeah.
And he was already 3 seconds.
3 seconds almost, behind.
Yeah, behind.
But you were saying 3 more laps, 2 more laps probably would have gotten Lewis.
Yeah. And I think that's where the only thing the Red Bull did well, this was getting their strategy calls right. The pace wasn't there right from the get-go in FP1. It was just a team that is kind of confused. They keep bringing upgrades, and they're like, well, let's give it a few more races to see if we can figure this out. Now, this is the 3rd upgrade since McLaren, all the other teams have caught up to them. And now I think they're on the back pedal now, and they're not the best car. I don't even think they're the top. I think they're scattered in between that top 3, and it's going to be very circuit specific. But now it's just, we're having exactly what we want in F1. It's every race weekend, we don't know who's going to win again.
Which is amazing, which is absolutely incredible. But do you think F1 fans are going to get bored of the Mercedes domination?
Oh, here we go again. 7 more years of Mercedes. Time to quit F1.
But actually, like, when you look at the fastest car on the grid, right, which I think everyone thinks is McLaren. I mean, you know, the car comes alive pretty much on every track. It's not as track specific as a Mercedes or even a Red Bull. What is going wrong with McLaren? Why aren't they winning? There's 3 races in a row now where they could have won had a couple of things gone right for them.
Exactly. I think it comes down to strategy and making those right calls. I think they've been bold, and these last 3 races, they've been caught in the front of the grid when they have to make these decisions. And unfortunately, they've been getting them wrong. And
especially Piastri today, right?
Oh, man, it's such a gamble. And these are the moments you probably, as a strategist, sitting there, be like, well, let's look at the past few years of racing when we have to call in 2 of their same cars and be like, well, we are going to lose 5 seconds in the pit or 6 seconds compared to what we don't know what is on the track. It is a very weird gamble to take, where Mercedes both pitted them on the same lap. They are willing to lose the 5-6 seconds. And it just sucks because they do have the data for this, and they decided to gamble on something very unnecessarily, where they could have both realistically double stacked. And if they did, Piastri looked like he was on a roll. If he came back behind Lando, I think he would have overtook him on the track. and he could have finished in the podium or potentially for the win. You never know.
And as much as, Red Bull fans, I think, were incredible over the weekend. They were congratulating Lewis. It was great to see Max, sharing some good moments with Lewis on the podium. At this point, if you're a Max hater, there's nothing to hate him for.
No.
He is not driving the fastest car right now, but he is pushing that car to the limit. He potentially could have won this race, again, given a couple more laps, but he is out driving the car right now that he's been given.
And even this whole hate about him on track and off track being very focused on his own racing. He's selfish. I mean, look at when Lewis crossed the line, he stopped on track to congratulate him.
Yeah.
This is not a Max 7 years ago. You would say the same thing.
No.
So you can see the maturity. And the last 2 weeks, he's been called out for being, he's reverted back to his old self and stuff like that. No, I think you can clearly see that if he was back to his old self, he would have been blaming the team throughout this week. He wasn't. He was every way. He made a mistake in qualifying. He said, thank you so much to the team for fixing the car, trying to fix the car and give me a car that can finish in P4 in qualifying. And this weekend, he's like, you guys got it. Every decision that you guys have made off the track, you guys made it right. And that's why I finished in P2.
We got to talk about Haas. Already a great weekend last weekend. Nico comes in with an upgrade, and he already from first practice is like, the upgrades feel good. And he felt the difference. To be able to get into the points again, P6, unbelievable job.
Unbelievable. I mean, look at qualify. He set the purple sector. No one beat it in sector 1.
Yeah.
I mean, it sucks because now they're losing him.
I know.
And they have a car that is becoming competitive in that midfield sector, and potentially with a few more upgrades, they can be the new Aston Martin of last year. To be honest with you,
100% agree.
They have that capability, and now Ollie has signed another very young rookie who has still yet to show a lot in the F2
and in that type of car.
Exactly.
Right? We saw him in a Ferrari, but it might just be the whole Nick DeVries situation again.
I mean, Ferrari is looking like the new Haas the last few races, so you can't really even. This is a big up for Ollie at this point, but that's a different discussion. But I mean, it's good to see Haas doing this. I know Magnussen just keeps getting into this battle between other drivers that cost him the race or cost him that extra point that he needs to make. And we don't know who this. I mean, Esteban.
Rumor is that he signed. Apparently.
I mean, again, you're gonna get another Magnussen, a replacement. So be it. If he can be a team player and support Ollie in his journey as a rookie, then they might do something next year. But it sucks that they're losing someone who's honestly back on their peak, I think, of racing. And Hülkenberg is just showing it. And he's also going to a team that hasn't shown anything all year, right? So he's going to be a back marker next year, which I think will make him more frustrated. And
because he's almost resetting. He has to reset to what he was doing 2 years ago at Haas, where, he's out qualifying the car probably on a Saturday. But when it comes to race pace, that car does not have any race pace at all. So it's going to be frustrating. Out driving the car, Carlos, right, did a great job today. But, I mean, if I'm Lewis Hamilton, am I regretting my decision to go to Ferrari? I know he even got asked that question over the weekend.
And he said no, which is the rightful answer. But, I mean, yes, Red Bull's scratching their head, and I think Ferrari is just scratching even harder. And you're seeing it now, even post interview with Carlos. He's like, I mean, the fact that we're still stuck on our Imola package because the new one is not working just shows that we are nowhere to be in the front grid. We have that advantage over Mercedes and McLaren, but that gap is going to disappear in the next few races. Hungary is another track they're probably going to get destroyed. There's a lot of slow corners. McLaren and we'll talk about that later, but McLaren and Mercedes are going to do fantastic there. So it sucks. Yes, Carlos is leaving, so he's peacing out. He's like, not much. I'm giving you guys as much as I can on my way out. But Charles is stuck. I mean, the curse is back, I guess. And Fevin mentioned it last time, but the curse keeps going after his one win in Monaco.
Him, Checo, pit for Inters. We need to talk about Checo. I mean, listen.
We're on that segment, the Checo segment.
Man. Like, we do it every weekend, but this time there's a rumor. I mean, again, not conclusive, so don't want to, don't put words in our mouth. But apparently his contract says that he has to be 100 points within Max. Going into this weekend, he was already 119 points behind Max. You already got Hamilton, you got George, you got Norris that are now potentially going to take that P2, P3, P4 in the driver standings. Do we really think that Checo is going to retain a seat? I mean, you already said it. Mid-season comes around, he's booted. Right?
I think Christian is in the hot seat more than Checo is at this point.
I concur.
I mean, shareholders are going to come after them soon because Max can't do this alone. And we're seeing this right now. He's scratching scratching the surface of not even making it to the podiums anymore. If somehow the rain continued, Carlos would have passed him, Piastri would have passed him. He would have finished in P6, P7. So I think he's gone. I don't think 3 races is even enough to show he's got anything.
You'd have to win all 3.
Yeah, like for him to even get back into that 100-point performance clause that they have. But I just think he's out of it. And I don't think he will ever regain his confidence the way it's going, because every single race, those 6 drivers you mentioned are only getting better because the car that they are driving in is getting better.
And I looked on Twitter. I mean, I saw a lot of journalists talking about yesterday and the difference between him, Magnussen, and Verstappen, because they actually all spun on that exact corner. Tops. Max saved the car going on the outer gravel and then going onto the track, like the little bit dry part near the curb. Magnussen saved the car, but for some reason Checo couldn't save his car at all.
And to make it worse, he was on his outlap where both other drivers were pushing, and they still saved their cars. So it's not even, you can't even blame the cars anymore. You can't even blame anything that's track specific. I think he's just in his head, and he's been in his head for the last 2 years. When you do have a counterpart that is out driving the car and getting championships year after year, and whoever they do replace, I think needs to be super fresh. They can't. I don't even think they should even be in the Red Bull family at all, because they're currently living that kind of pressure, even though they're not driving or in Checo's position.
That's fair. That's a really good point. Liam Lawson, though, is scheduled to do another test in Silverstone next weekend. Isaac Hadjar in F2 just won the feature race. Congratulations, friend of the pod. So there are options for Red Bull. Obviously, Daniel Ricciardo is rumored. He didn't really do too much.
Nope. And he's another person who keeps complaining and blaming other things. And you have his other counterpart who's getting into points.
In the points,
but
not the long-term option.
No. Which kind of confuses me, because I don't think Yuki has anything left per se to show Red Bull that he deserves that seat. But again, I think they really don't want to relive the era before Checo of choosing young drivers, getting into that inconsistency of outperforming well and then not performing well. So I think if they do choose someone, that is why they're leaning towards Daniel, which still confuses me, because they're like, we just want to replace another veteran with a veteran. Where I think like a person like Liam Lawson, who is super fresh and willing to make the mistakes because he knows he's still young and able to flip a switch and be like, okay, it's another race, it's another weekend, I can go tackle it, is something potential. Or we go gamble and pick someone off the Red Bull family. That would be super interesting. But
it would be cool if Mercedes picked up Carlos, and then Red Bull really has a chance to do the funniest thing and pick up Kimi.
Oh my God.
Pay the brake contract fee, get Kimi Antonelli into the Red Bull or the AlphaTauri. It'd be unbelievable to see that.
V-Carb,
whatever. I'm going to call it an AlphaTauri till I die. I can't. Aston Martin finishing the points as well. Fantastic performances for both. Stroll outperforming Alonso again.
There's a few races now. And even some reports were like, do we say Alonso is slipping away, or is it just Stroll catching up to Alonso's pace? So it's still yet to be, like, in my eyes, it's still yet to be determined, because they haven't, I mean, this triple header, they really didn't bring upgrades.
No.
So it's just whatever car they have. So it kind of shows that, yes, Stroll is starting to click with the current car. But if they do bring upgrades that I'm guessing Alonso wants, and then we'll start to see what Alonso is good at, and that's outperforming the car that he has. Or maybe just Alonso just in a slump and we don't know. But I'm excited. What do you think? As a Stroll?
I agree. I mean, look, Stroll's been getting a lot of hate. I still cannot stand him when he does his press conferences or interviews. He looks too arrogant. But to be fair, I mean, the media hasn't been really kind to him over the last few years. But he's putting his head down, and he's getting good performances in, which is what he needs to do. Right? At the end of the day, though, you do have Jack Crawford, for example, putting in great performances in F2. So the pressure is on. Obviously, maybe not for Stroll.
I was going to say, I think he's good. He re-signed for indefinite time, so who knows, 10 more years
until Lawrence is like, you know what, I'm done, I can't do this. We have to talk about one more team, then we're going to talk about Hungary. Williams, Alex Albon in the points, Logan Sargent P11, but a great weekend for him. Great weekend for him.
It was interesting because watching the race, and when we do watch an F1 TV, we're just watching it through the commentator's eyes and the broadcast. It was really interesting. We were watching it on Channel 4 or whatever, and they actually interview the principals. And
while it's happening,
mid-race, they interviewed James Vowles, and he's like, they actually bluntly asked him, they're like, is he leaving? Mid-race, they're like, is he going to be re-signed? And he's like, well, we've given him a few car or upgrades that we're still yet to see his performance in, but we do look forward to seeing the next few races with him. So everything's undecided. But like at this point, I think everyone in the world knows that he's not going to get re-signed. It was a very stupid question to ask mid-race when he's still paying attention, and when he had both cars in that battle between that extra point.
Yeah.
And you can tell he was like not going to answer this question full-heartedly.
Can you imagine Logan though switches his frequency and it's like, I'm going to hear this answer right now.
Flips the switch. P1, baby.
Let's go, baby. Lewis, turn on Lewis mode.
Oh my god.
I mean, yeah, that's a dumb question to ask.
Yeah,
but good for them. Obviously, you know, they brought an incredible livery.
Yes.
I don't know what the hell Red Bull did. We were talking about
Splash of paint.
The blood of Lando on the side
of
the Red Bull car was the best comment that I saw. But no, unbelievable stuff. 1,000 names on that car. Everyone who's worked on the car, the driver's name's obviously on it. So definitely one livery of the race for me.
Actually, good on Stroll, because Stroll did the same thing with his helmet. He put all his mechanics' names on his helmet to give them a thank you for bringing a car that can perform well this weekend.
Love that. Hungary, next race, like you mentioned, slow corners. Actually, a really good race typically in the past.
Yeah,
we've seen some really good, exciting racing happen there. We obviously think Mercedes is going to come alive. We know McLaren's going to come alive. I'm curious, is Max finishing on the top step? Is that even a definitive thing?
No, again, I don't think it's going to be on the top step. I think it will be a podium finish for him, because he somehow still will do something miraculous with that car. But I also think because that car is a bit stiffer and there's no high speed to very short stops for that car, I still think it's relatively competitive.
Yep.
So we will probably see something, but I think this is also a team now will have to pull some kind of like Ferrari strategy from last year, where they're going to have to start tweaking their cars for more qualifying performance and hoping that the car can just outlast in the pace. And because
rely on your pit stops as well, right?
And there's not a lot of DRS. Actually, there's only like one or two.
Right? The straight?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So they're going to rely on that and perform, because I think they also just need the summer break to come quicker.
Yep.
And just start working on next year's car, because yes, they do have the gap now, and they're just going to fight for consistent podium finish and not wins anymore, just so that both Max can win and they can complete the constructors, hopefully.
Yeah.
This is what they're going for.
I want to hear your bold prediction, because I already gave mine last weekend. I said I'd jump in a lake. I'm curious what you would do, but really quickly, one driver I do think is going to come alive in Hungary, George Russell. He has been on an absolute tear again. Today was unfortunate for him. Had that issue not happened, I think he would have won.
I think so too. No one was going to touch him. Boldest prediction, I would say, is Piastri gets his win.
Ed, what are you going to do if that doesn't happen?
Oh, damn.
Oh, hot sauce?
Oh,
on camera?
Or no, we can do the sour candy we have.
Love that.
Yes.
The yellow death.
The yellow death. The sourest thing in the world or something. So
perfect. Henny's going to do that if Piastri does not take his win. I love it.
Don't let me down, brother. Your team let you down today, but don't let me down tomorrow.
Amazing. Any final thoughts?
No, I'm so happy for Lewis, and I think everyone in London is probably celebrating, and go London for Euro Cup.
Oh, yeah. Actually, no. What do you think?
Or
Go France.
Go España.
España. Hope you guys enjoyed the race. Let us know your boldest prediction for the Hungarian Grand Prix in the comments below. Hope you enjoyed the episode. Like, subscribe, share. We'll see you guys in the next one.